When you think of hip-hop's biggest criminals, names like Tupac and Biggie might come to mind. But there's one pioneer who spent most of his career behind bars, watching his legacy crumble from a prison cell. At 62 years old, Spoonie Gee has been arrested forever, trapped in a cycle that destroyed what could have been hip-hop's greatest success story. The tragedy of Spoonie's downfall becomes even more painful when you realize he had every advantage in the world. Unlike countless other artists who struggled to break into the industry, he was handed opportunities on a silver platter through family connections. Gabriel Jackson, better known as Spoonie Gee, should be remembered as the godfather of gangsta rap. Born on May 27, 1963 in Harlem, New York City, his childhood nickname came from the most innocent place imaginable. His mother called him Spoonie because he refused to eat with anything but a spoon. This sweet detail makes his later criminal troubles even more heartbreaking. His entry into hip-hop wasn't through the streets like many rappers claim. Instead, it was through family connections. After his mother died when he was just 12 years old, young Gabriel moved in with his uncle, Bobby Robinson. This wasn't just any uncle, though. Robinson was a legendary R&B producer and the founder of Enjoy Records, placing Spoonie right at the center of the music industry's birth. Before he ever touched a microphone, Spoonie was a poet. He spent countless hours writing verses, crafting words that would later become the blueprint for an entire genre. Friends like Kool Moe Dee encouraged him to transition from writing poetry to performing as an artist. This creative journey led him to become an original member of the Treacherous Three, alongside Kool Moe Dee and L.A. Sunshine. But here's where Spoonie's story gets interesting, and where his genius becomes undeniable. If you're enjoying this deep dive into hip-hop's forgotten pioneer, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments what other overlooked legends you'd like to hear about. Your suggestions help shape future videos. In 1979, Spoonie released his debut solo track, Spoonin' Rap, on Peter Brown's Sound of New York label. This wasn't your typical party rap that dominated the scene. The track featured raw jailhouse references and a narrative style that painted vivid pictures of street life. The vocal echo technique he used drew comparisons to Jamaican DJ styles, showing his deep understanding of hip-hop's roots. Many consider this track the birth of gangsta rap, earning him the title the original gangsta rapper. But then something remarkable happened that showcased Spoonie's artistic range. His very next release, Love Rap, went in the completely opposite direction. Released on his uncle's Enjoy Records, this track was romantic and pop-oriented, earning him the nickname the Love Rapper. This duality was unprecedented in hip-hop's early days, when most artists stuck to party themes. Think about this for a moment. While other rappers were still figuring out how to make people dance, Spoonie was already exploring the full emotional spectrum of human experience. He understood that hip-hop could be both street-smart and heartfelt, both dangerous and loving. This vision was years ahead of its time and established a blueprint that countless artists would later follow. His career trajectory took him through some of hip-hop's most iconic labels. After Sound of New York, he moved to his uncle's Enjoy Records, then to the legendary Sugar Hill Records. At Sugar Hill, he collaborated with the Sequence on the hit Monster Jam and released Spoonie Is Back. Finally, he found a home at Aaron Fuchs's Tough City Records in 1985, where he would release most of his later work. But here's where the narrative gets complicated and where Spoonie's troubles really began to surface. His departure from Sugar Hill Records is often described as being due to a lack of attention. However, the reality was far more complex and business-oriented. In a 2005 interview, Spoonie clarified that he was mad cool with Sylvia Robinson, the label's co-founder. The real issue was misunderstandings between their companies and certain moves that her husband made. This business conflict highlights a bigger problem that would plague Spoonie throughout his career. The early hip-hop industry was filled with artists who lacked proper legal representation, forcing them to navigate complex contracts and financial disputes alone. Many pioneers from this era lost control of their master recordings and intellectual property rights, a struggle that continues today. What makes Spoonie's situation particularly frustrating is that he should have known better. Having grown up around the music industry through his uncle's connections, he witnessed firsthand how business deals worked and where artists got taken advantage of. At Tough City Records, Spoonie released his 1987 debut album, The Godfather of Rap. The album featured production from two influential figures, Marley Marl and Teddy Riley, serving as a crucial bridge between old school and new school hip-hop sounds. This should have been his moment of triumph, the project that cemented his legendary status. Instead, controversy struck in the form of a feud that would define how hip-hop handles artistic originality disputes. In 1986, Spoonie released That's My Style, a direct attack on fellow rapper Schoolie D. The track accused Schoolie D of copying his style and approach, with Spoonie rapping, "Come in here from wherever you came, trying to steal my style and plus my name." The accusation wasn't just Spoonie's opinion. Granddaddy IU, providing a third-party perspective, stated that Schoolie D bit the shit out of Spoonie Gee's style, and that if you was a hip-hop nigga, you knew. This widespread acceptance within the hip-hop community showed that Spoonie's claims had merit. Spoonie Gee's response was surprisingly honest. He called the beef silly and suggested that Spoonie's New York associates had encouraged the confrontation. Most revealing was his admission that Spoonie Gee was his hero, and that he felt disrespectful for participating in the beef. He only performed his response track once, and never again out of respect for the genre's originators. Ironically, both artists profited from the exchange. Spoonie's diss track became a big hit, while Spoonie Gee's response became a big underground hit. This showed how feuds could serve dual purposes as both battles over creative integrity and effective promotional tools. But here's where Spoonie's story takes its tragic turn. The very street themes he pioneered in his music became his real-life downfall. His career momentum was repeatedly destroyed by significant periods of incarceration. He was candid about his struggles, admitting he was in prison for most of the 90s, specifically from 1994 to 1998. He was later incarcerated again from 2003 to 2006 on a gun possession charge. The timing of these prison sentences couldn't have been worse. By the late 1980s, his career was gaining momentum with the godfather of rap. However, his absence from the music scene for nearly a decade starting in the mid-1990s was devastating. This period coincided with hip-hop's explosive evolution, marked by the rise of West Coast gangsta rap and the solidification of East Coast hardcore. While other artists were building their legacies and capitalizing on hip-hop's mainstream breakthrough, Spoonie was locked away, unable to maintain public visibility, tour, or record new material. The irony is heartbreaking. The street life themes that made him a pioneer became the real-life struggles that completely derailed his professional career, regardless of his talent and influence. What makes Spoonie's incarceration even more tragic is that it was completely avoidable. He had everything going for him: talent, industry connections, a loyal fan base, and multiple revenue streams. Yet he made choices that prioritized immediate gratification over long-term success, ultimately destroying everything he had worked to build. The pattern of self-destruction becomes clear when you examine his decisions. Time and again, he chose the easy path of street credibility over the harder work of building lasting success. His long hiatus meant missing out on hip-hop's most crucial growth period. Artists who came after him were able to build on the foundation he created, while he remained invisible to new generations of fans. The momentum he had built over years of innovative work evaporated during those lost decades behind bars. The gun possession charge that led to his 2003-2006 incarceration is particularly frustrating because it happened after he had already experienced the consequences of criminal behavior. This wasn't a young man making his first mistake. This was a 40-year-old artist who should have learned from his previous prison experience. During his absence from the industry, hip-hop transformed from a niche genre into a dominant cultural force. Artists like Jay-Z, Nas, and Eminem built the kind of lasting careers that Spoonie could have had if he had made better choices. Instead, he watched from prison as others achieved the success that should have been his. Despite these professional setbacks, Spoonie's influence on hip-hop remains undeniable. He is credited with originating the term hip-hop itself, a testament to his central role in the genre's formative years. His early recordings, particularly Spoonin' Rap and Love Rap, were foundational for their lyrical innovation and thematic range. His legacy extends beyond academic recognition into mainstream popular culture. His 1980 song Love Rap was ranked number 65 on VH1's 100 Greatest Songs of Hip Hop in 2008, proving that his contributions haven't been forgotten. He also collaborated with electronic artist Moby on the song Body Rock in 1999, introducing him to a new generation of listeners. The collaboration with Moby in 1999 represents one of the few bright spots in Spoonie's later career. It showed that even after years of setbacks, he still had the artistic credibility to work with respected artists from other genres. This collaboration could have been the beginning of a comeback if only he had been able to stay out of trouble. However, misinformation has clouded his story over the years. A blog post from 2008 incorrectly reported that someone named Christopher Crawl, aka Spoonie Gee, had died at age 47. This false report persisted in digital records for over a decade, adding confusion to his biography. The claim is contradicted by evidence showing he was alive and actively working on new music as recently as 2014. The spread of misinformation about his death is somehow fitting for an artist whose career was defined by missed opportunities and unrealized potential. Even in death rumors, Spoonie couldn't catch a break, with false information overshadowing his actual accomplishments and current status. As we reflect on where hip-hop culture has evolved and the struggles artists face, take a moment to comment below about how you think personal challenges should impact how we view an artist's legacy. Your thoughts on this complex relationship between art and life help drive important conversations. At 62 years old, Spoonie Gee's current age aligns perfectly with his birth date of May 27, 1963, confirming he is very very much alive. His story serves as both inspiration and cautionary tale about the challenges faced by hip-hop's earliest pioneers. The fact that he's still alive at 62 raises questions about what his legacy could have been if he had made different choices. Other artists from his era have used their later years to mentor younger artists, write books, or participate in documentaries that preserve hip-hop history. Spoonie still has time to contribute positively to the culture he helped create. Spoonie Gee's career represents artistic brilliance, repeatedly hampered by external forces and poor personal choices. He was a trailblazer who established lyrical and thematic blueprints that remain influential today. From his innovative dual approach to gangsta and romantic themes, to his role in coining the term hip-hop, his foundational contributions to the genre stand as testament to his enduring impact. While his journey was marked by chronic disruption and lost opportunities, his legacy as the true godfather of gangsta rap remains unshakable, proving that true pioneers leave marks that time cannot erase, even when they repeatedly try to erase themselves.